Well, our next guest here on Fan Friday Talk Story for ESPN Honolulu, everyone's familiar with. If you kept up with the Olympics, you just kept up with sports in general, you've heard our guest's name mentioned quite often. She most recently has been the assistant national team coach for women's wrestling, but has also now become the first women's head coach for the University of Iowa, the mecca of collegiate wrestling, if you will. And we're happy to have her join us, Clarissa Chun. Clarissa, thanks so much for taking some time to be with us on Fan Friday Talk Story.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Pleasure. By the way, in honor of that announcement as the head coach, I do have.
Hey!
Yeah, you betcha.
Nice.
Not everyone in Hawaii has the Iowa Hawkeye paraphernalia, so I'm one of the few.
I did not know that. That's awesome. You need to come up to Iowa for some duel.
By the way, where are you right now?
I'm in Colorado Springs still. I'll make the move like the end of January, early February, probably. So.
Colorado Springs, that's the base of where USA Wrestling is housed?
Yep, where the Olympic and Paralympic Training Center is at. And I'm still working with USA Wrestling currently, just finishing throughout the year and trying to, do two things at once at the same. Yeah.
Good grief. I know that's pretty challenging. I'm going to get to all the Iowa stuff because that's really exciting. But your life, your day-to-day schedule now, once you're announced as head coach of University of Iowa Women's Wrestling, how has things gone?
Oh, I mean, it really is just, oh gosh, I don't know. I feel like I said, still working with USA Wrestling. We had a national team camp going on as I was flying to Iowa to do the whole press conference and everything. So at first it was challenging a little bit because I had to keep my mouth shut around the athletes, as far as it getting leaked out or whatnot, and as far as like who I can talk to about Iowa and who I can't, But it's been fun. It's been busy. It's been keeping me up in the middle of the night and waking me up early in the morning, as far as like the way my brain just keeps thinking about what I need to do and what needs to be done to achieve, what I want to achieve.
So how long before the official announcement did you actually know you had the job?
Probably a week, probably a week from when I accepted the position. And then as far as like the timing of, I think when they wanted to announce it fit perfectly with, announcing it at the dual meet that, University of Iowa men's wrestling, had their first home dual meet. And then but it worked out well to have a home football game at the very next day. So it was kind of a whirlwind, meeting a lot of like huge supporters of wrestling, huge supporters of like the Hawkeye movement, like you. Like, it's amazing. People told me that, like the Hawkeye brand is like everywhere, like, wearing the Hawkeyes, right? Is you'll find out like who are Hawkeye fans, and that's awesome.
So you knew from a week prior to the announcement, but I'm always kind of curious about how the process is upon going through the interview process for a collegiate head coaching position or any in high elite sports. So how long did this whole process take from the time you were aware of it, you put your name in the hat, the interviews, how many interviews you had to go through? How did all that go and how long was it?
Yeah, it actually to me felt pretty fast because I don't know that I was really ready for it. Like I wasn't really sure. I had other plans, as far as like which direction I was going with my coaching career. So they announced like the end of September, right before the World Championships, that Iowa was going to have a women's wrestling program, and they opened it up for candidates to apply. I would say mid to late October, so a week and a half after the World Championships. And then, so that was a process, like putting in my resume, cover letter, all that stuff, applying. And then I felt like from then it happened fast. It's like, okay, first Zoom interview, less than a week out. Okay, next is in-person interview, come out. And that was like the week before the press conference. And then, so I felt like things kind of moved pretty quickly for me. But yeah, I think it's because I was nervous along the way and excited at the same time. Like the further I got along, I got more competitive, like, oh my gosh, like this is happening, gather more information and decide if it was the right fit for me. So mhm.
Now, was there someone in your camp kind of saying, "Hey, Clarissa, you gotta go for this," or did you see it? This was something you wanted to do. You heard about it, did it all yourself. I mean, how did the genesis of you wanting to become the head coach start?
Yeah, USA Wrestling, my boss, so Rich Bender at USA Wrestling, Terry Steiner, they thought, of challenging me to take that, because I was, like I said, I was going to go a different direction. I was thinking about moving closer to my significant other. He's at Missouri Valley College, where we went to college, and they have a women's wrestling program. And I was going to go that direction. Like, I was ready to move to Missouri. And yeah, this came up, and everyone was like, you need to give it a shot. And even he like Waylon, he kind of supported that and just was like, you can't like not go for it. So just knowing me, as far as like, I tend to get like competitive, ambitious, whatever, it is, to that nature, and take that challenge. So
One of the things that always comes up, with elite athletes like yourself, and I'll just go over your wrestling career. I mean, you're a two-time Olympian, right? A bronze medalist in 2012. You competed in 2008, 2008 world champion, four-time, am I getting this correct? Four-time U.S. Open champion, or is it five?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't keep track. It's not bad. I need to start like keeping track of my stats, but for me, I'm like Olympics and Worlds. That's good.
Okay, I'll add on some more.
Yeah.
Inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2020 for the class of 2022, so that was just recent. 2018 into the Hawaii Sports Hall of Fame. Um, a lot of times, elite athletes, when their career, competing career comes to an end, they either you want to separate and just go totally in a different direction. I've done it for all my life. I want to do something different, or they want to stay connected with the sport. And usually, a lot of times, they want to get into coaching or training. Being an elite athlete doesn't necessarily mean you will be a good coach. That doesn't always equate. You have become obviously a great coach. What is maybe the characteristic of being good at coaching, even though you're an elite athlete as well?
I think in any leadership position, whether it's a coach or anyone leading an organization, the number one thing that I know and learn is people just want to know that people care. At the end of the day, the X's and O's are, it is what it is, like video review, all that jazz and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like about the individual person and individual athlete, and in this case at University of Iowa, be the individual like student athlete, as far as, getting to know the athlete, how they are motivated, how they operate, how to best communicate with them. And I think that that's what, like, for me, as far as, and I'm still learning and growing as a coach, um, I don't know everything in that aspect. And, I don't think I'll ever know anything. I think the moment that I think I do would be the death of me, So I think as a leader is just to keep an open mind and continue to learn and grow.
I'm a huge fan of the Olympics. I just love the Olympics. So please allow me to live the experience through you. You've had the experience as a competitor twice, and then now as a coach since then. I know you get asked this all the time. Oh, what's better, the experience as a coach or experience as a player? What is better, and how different are they? Which one is more nerve-wracking, as a competitor or as a coach, seeing your athletes perform?
Yeah, I think as a coach, it's more nerve-wracking because there's so much out of your control, right? Like, as an athlete, you only have to worry about yourself and what you do. And, there's things that are out of your control, but you have more in your control when you're out there, competing. But I don't know. I enjoy the athlete life, at that level, like wouldn't trade it for the world, like sometimes it's like, I used to think, and I still think, like if I could have ever been, you hear some 5-time Olympians in various different sports, and it's like, oh my gosh, that would be a dream, like in the wrestling world, it's very unlikely, to have that longevity as an elite athlete in the sport of wrestling. And it can happen, but five is, like after my first one, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to find a winter sport because I want to go to every Olympics, because it's just so amazing to be able to like be amongst like elite people competing at the highest levels, the energy and the buzz around the Olympics, and being able to represent, USA and Hawaii and where you're from, and the family and the people behind you. So yeah, that's a hard one, like I really enjoyed my athletic career, but I know that's that's never gonna happen again. My like here. So yeah, I think it's just giving my best into now my coaching career. So.
You've done a lot of firsts, right, in your career. I mean, starting with Hawaii, I think the first state champion when they actually sanctioned HHSA girls wrestling. So you're one of the first champions in that. You wrestled at Missouri Valley, right? Mm-hmm. Where the first time that was the first school to offer scholarships, right, for women's wrestling. Yeah. And now you're going to be the first women's head coach at Iowa. So all these firsts are happening in your career. How would you describe the landscape of women's wrestling right now, collegiately and internationally?
It's grown so much as far as collegiately, internationally, domestically, everything. From when like Hawaii was the first state to sanction girls wrestling. That was when I first started wrestling. So going from that to like now 32 states have sanctioned girls wrestling. So there's still some states that need to get sanctioned, and I think there's still more opportunity for it to explode more and opportunity for growth in the sport of women's wrestling. When I went to college at Missouri Valley College, it was probably us and 3 or 5 other colleges, like a handful, like literally on one hand. Now there's over 108, 109 college programs that offer. Wow. And I swear it's like one every day coming out like lately. Wow. And whether at the NAIA level, Division II, Division III, what's awesome is that University of Iowa is the first Power 5 institution to, have a women's wrestling program. So I think that's going to explode opportunities at the Big 10 and Big 12 level, and hopefully like the Pac-12s and AAC, like all of it, right? So internationally the same, when I competed internationally, I feel like the African countries were starting to get going, like from Cameroon, Nigeria, and whatnot. And now they're in the fight, like Nigeria's, was in the finals of the Olympics, Kyrgyzstan, like a country that I may have not known when I started wrestling, like where's Kyrgyzstan on the map, like they're present in the women's wrestling world, and just growth all around for women's wrestling.
I'm not the most in-depth wrestling fan. I mean, I love watching it, international competition and stuff like that, but I know University of Iowa is like the kingpin of collegiate wrestling on the men's side. They have this big history. But as a state, my understanding is that like Texas is football, Indiana is basketball, Iowa is wrestling. Are you able to capture the fandom of wrestling in the state of Iowa?
Gosh, I felt it. I definitely felt the love, the support, the fans, the fanatics of wrestling in Iowa. Like it is insane. My brother said, like, Alabama? Is it like Alabama and football? And you said it like Texas. Absolutely. And I feel like Iowa equals wrestling, or wrestling equals Iowa. It's just a synonymous like thing that just comes together, and it's just in the fabric of the state. It's like meeting some administration people that I probably will be working with. They're all talking to me about their son or daughter wrestling, in the state of Iowa. They're young kids, and just the love for it. So yeah, it's bonkers. It's crazy, you know.
You know, my real only direct connection with wrestling was when I was in high school, and I played basketball. But in the gym, we had the wrestling room,
Mhm.
and you know, you could hear the wrestling guys work out. And you know, my thought was, those guys are maniacs. They're just, and you know, some of my friends wrestling, and they're dieting all the time, and the training is really hard, and you can hear them up in that room, and they're just always this very loud. Is that normal? Is that kind of common? Like, do you coach like that too, like with your wrestlers?
Like where it's loud or
Like
like
really intense. I mean, I can hear when they're like, I can tell they're like, I guess, you know, one-on-ones, and they're challenging each other, and it is just intense. Is that
yeah,
kind of normal for a wrestling practice? Like,
yeah, definitely it can get intense. You know, there's times for it, you know. It's not like every day we're grinding, you know. Otherwise we'd be broken. but, but yeah, it is a special sport to be a part of, you know. It is man versus man, woman versus woman, like, you know, combat sport, right? No different than
Mm,
boxing, MMA, judo, whatnot, you know. And
mhm.
in the sense, yeah, but we you know, wrestlers are unique, you know. It's not an easy thing. And it's funny because sometimes, you know, some of the athletes and I will like wrestle or whatnot, some of the athletes that I coach, and we'll come off the mat and we're like, why did we pick wrestling? Like how, you know. And I even said it in Iowa because they were talking about another sport, maybe it was rowing or something. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I picked the right sport. Maybe I should have got into surfing or golfing or something that's like outdoors, you know. And they're like, "Oh, you don't want to be something outdoors." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, not here in Iowa. I wouldn't want to be at a sport." But you know, like
Yeah.
wrestling is hard. Wrestling is hard, but
Oh,
it's great.
you
Yeah.
guys, I put wrestlers, water polo players is probably the most conditioned athletes, you
Yeah,
know, in
water.
terms of full body, top to bottom
Yeah.
conditioning. But, you know, as far as the intensity, there's a huge nod there over the wrestling. Um, I like to play a little game with my guests here on Fan Friday, and it's called Quick Pins. Pins, you know, like wrestling, right? That's a pin,
Uh-huh.
right? Where you
Yeah.
get the shoulders down. So I call
Uh-huh.
it quick pin. But basically, all it is I'm going to ask these questions, answer it off the top of your head. Okay?
Okay, hopefully I could do this.
Yeah. So here we go. Quick pins with Clarissa Chun, the new head coach, first head coach, women's wrestling team for University of Iowa. First question: your most memorable match?
Oh, probably Olympic team trials 2008 when I had to beat Patricia Miranda, who's a Olympic bronze medalist, and I've like never beaten her before, and I had to beat her to make the team. So I would say that.
What was your most difficult injury to come back from?
Ooh, I had a lot. I had an ACL. That was the longest injury to come back from. I would say it was probably my most difficult in the sense that it was my first like major injury. So.
Hmm. If I were to ask one of your USA wrestlers, what does Coach Clarissa always say? What do you think they would tell me?
What do I always say? Oh man, I don't know. I mean, depends if we're just joking around. They always tease me about always saying yeah or you know something local, but I don't know. Yeah, that's I don't know.
Get
I
up,
can,
get up. I don't know.
yeah, no, they're usually the ones whipping my butt. So
What was your pre-match meal when you were competing?
so the morning of competition, I would have like towards the end of my career where I dialed in on my nutrition. I would say oatmeal with applesauce.
Mm.
um, yeah, like it was really strictly for feel, not like necessarily for flavor. I would throw in cinnamon on it and add some like little spice to it, but and bananas. So yeah,
Mm.
something bland that wouldn't upset my stomach when I go out there and compete.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that to happen. Top three things you will do once you assume the head coaching position at Iowa.
Top three things, thinking about my coaching staff and recruits and really getting to know everyone at University of Iowa, you know, and just start picking their brains and what I need to do and how to do the best I can do there.
Yeah, a lot. And I'm sure that list is very long. You've been living on the mainland for a very long time now. What is the most common question asked of you once someone finds out you're from Hawaii?
If they're from Hawaii, what school did I go to?
Roosevelt, yes.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, it's like, do you surf, or how did you end up here? Like, you think you ever go back? Like, can I come visit you? Or at least your family, since you're not there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, when was the last time you've been back to Honolulu?
After the Olympics in August. Yeah.
Do you know if there is any place in Iowa City where you can get sticky rice?
Hopefully in my kitchen.
I'm gathering that's rare out there. What is the biggest change in you from that girl who graduated from Roosevelt High School to now?
I don't know. I've had a lot of like experiences globally. I would say that's something that I've like, I guess my mind expanded to different cultures and different people from all over the world, whether it's like, I don't know, just how people operate, from different areas of the world and their culture through their food. So that's kind of what I would say.
What is the one thing of your worldly travels that you encountered food-wise that you absolutely will not ever touch again?
Not a big fan of sheep, and specifically from Mongolia, but they love it. That's their thing. I'm just not really a mutton kind of like person. Yeah.
And the last question, where is your Olympic medal right now?
Probably in a dresser, in a bag, like upstairs. I don't know. In a box. I don't have it on display or anything.
Is it the original box that they gave it to you in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of beat up though.
Thank you so much for taking some time to be on Fan Friday Talk Story. Congratulations on being the first women's head coach at the University of Iowa, and also being another first in this landscape of women's wrestling, another pioneer for you. So congratulations, and thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you. I will say, I do feel like, and I told people this in Iowa when I was there, I was like, there are a lot of similarities, well, not about a lot, but I was like, there's similarities between Hawaii and Iowa, and that is the love and aloha that I feel like to support, for sports in general, because each of those states do not have a professional team. So I think there is like huge support for whether it's UH sports or University of Iowa or, Iowa State, I'm sure, like sports there. So I feel like a big sense of community from both states. So.
Oh, that is a great comparison.
I'm curious how you became a Hawkeye.
Well, believe it or not, my son's good friend, their family is from Iowa.
Oh.
So when they went back, and this is actually my son's hat, so they got it for him. And I was like, oh, I'm going to talk with Clarissa. Oh, I got to wear the hat,
Yes, I love it. Oh my gosh. I know everyone in Iowa will be so stoked to see that hat on your head, representing the Hawkeyes all the way in Hawaii.
Oh, now that you're there, the fandom is going to be created right here too. It's going to start to grow all because of you. Thank you very much. Hey, congratulations to you again, and then good luck to you in this upcoming transition as well as the season. Congratulations, and thanks again for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much. Go Hawks.